Yeah, because okay, the reason why I stopped doing my Hollow Knight stream was because I was like I had something to do on Sunday. That's why. Yeah, and then I was sick last night. I was sick yesterday. Yeah.
In
That
these
kinda sucks.
videos, join my Discord server, and of
That's why we're not playing
course,
Hollow Knight today.
subscribe to my
That's why.
channel.
I'm
All
kinda
right,
sick.
everyone ready to be teleported? Jump if you're ready. Okay, here
Ooh,
we
day
go.
one. Let's go. Let's go. Day one.
I'm in.
On day one, all 1,000 players were teleported to their islands, each its own biome. We had plains, desert,
Oh, so wait, so there's four
snow,
biomes.
and jungle.
There's 4
This
islands.
is huge.
Most players spent the
Plus,
first day
plus
scouting
the
their
previous island, the previous video you watched, right? They had 2 islands, rich and poor. This one has 4. So if you split by 4, it means on each island there's 250 people, right? Am I right? Oh damn, you were sick too? Yeah, I was sick. I was super sick. Yeah, I had like a sore throat. I mean, I'm still sick right now, but I'm not as sick as yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, I have like a sore throat and a very bad cough.
island searching for a place to settle, but almost immediately we started to see people dying, and oddly they were all coming from the snow
what?
island. It turned out people were freezing to death after
Oh,
getting
that's so
stuck
sad.
in powdered snow,
Yo,
which
it really
looks
died to
exactly
the-
like
to the
regular snow
environment.
but sucks you in like quicksand.
That sucks,
Trying
right?
to free his friends.
Like imagine
Oh,
imagine like
no.
going through the
Even worse for
process,
the
right?
poor
The interviewing process, the application process, right? Just to join this experiment, and then you die on day 1. But that gotta suck. That gotta suck dick.
people on the snow island, trees were almost nowhere to be seen. The desert island also had very few trees, which players needed if they wanted to get wood. But the places where players did find trees quickly became extremely valuable hotspots for groups to
Ooh.
settle at and colonize. Look
So
at all these
it's-
people
so it's
coming
like an
together.
oasis
Community
then.
crafting. They're making progress. Meanwhile,
That's
the
cool.
people on the jungle island had essentially unlimited trees and were thus already thinking about other things. What did you say your plan was?
I'm gonna take over the world.
Yo,
This is
this
my
guy.
right-hand man.
Darbo. Hello, right-hand man
Don't
Darbo.
talk to him.
Oh no.
He doesn't speak.
While having a lot of trees did seem like an advantage at first, many
Hey,
jungle
Parrot.
people found the island to be difficult to traverse, given the immense amount of trees and the hostile mobs that would spawn on the surface due to lack of sunlight.
Yo.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I
Uh-oh.
think so far, right? So far, it seems like the jungle is the worst, right? Jungle is the worst because it has mobs. It has hostile mobs. Yeah.
Fear of traveling also made it more difficult for jungle people to talk with each other, since players could only read chat messages from people 100 blocks away from them
Oh, so
or
there's-
less. Although
also there's
frankly, at least they didn't have
proximity
to
chat.
split me and the admins were
Ooh.
looking at. Lastly,
Okay.
we get to the Plains Island, and boy was it different from the others. It truly was just the perfect island to live on, with green grass, trees, animals, and no natural dangers.
Wait, so literally this is the rich island then. This is literally the rich island, guys.
Guys, make a little
Literally.
animal family. Or farm. Not needing to worry about dying as much as everyone else, the people on the Plains Island were among the first to start mining for resources like iron or diamonds. They were also the first to build up villages and, yes, to create civilizations.
Okay, that makes sense, right?
Throughout
It's
the
easier
first
to
day,
build.
you could
It
see
makes
two
sense.
main groups starting to come together. One of them, a democracy led by a player named Horace Crown.
Our aim is building the most beautiful and nicest city on the entire server.
And the second, also a democracy led by a player named Sidefall.
I just want to make sure
Wait,
nobody dies.
It was
Wait, isn't this the guy who like brought the warden up last time? He was the guy who brought the warden up to the surface in the previous video, the rich and poor island video. He was the one who brought it up, right?
It's kind of
Listen.
odd how similar these two civilizations
And then he died to the
were.
warden.
They were both located on the southern shore, they both had democratic elections, and their leaders both wanted good for their own people. I just hope nothing happens to change that.
If I'm gonna make an Among Us character.
Never mind, I hope they die. Soon it was the end of day one. Players across all
Okay.
4 islands
Here's our take, right? Here's our take. I think he's right. I've never liked Among Us, to be honest. I thought it was cringe. Like I've never really I've never really gotten into Among Us. Even during COVID. Okay, I played Among Us like a few times. with my friends, but not much actually. Not much, because I know Among Us was so popular during COVID. And like 1 year, like I think 2019, 2020, it was like a phase, right? There was like a trend of Among Us. Okay, it kind of died now, but it was so big last time. Like 5 years ago. 5, 6 years ago. Damn, that's a long time ago. Oh my god. Long ass time ago.
Logged off and made plans for the following day.
Wait, hold on a minute. Wait, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Yo, wait, 53 people died? 53. Holy shit. In one day. 50 people
It
died.
was on day 2 when civilizations really began to thrive. In the southeast corner of the desert, what used to be an empty patch of grass was turning into the desert's largest nation. Hello, good sir.
Yo, what's up, Ish? The
Wait.
Sultan is back.
You might recognize the player
The
Storming Hell
Sultan?
from my first Civilization video where he led a nation called
Oh, no,
the
this is going badly,
Sultanate.
guys. No.
Well, now the Desert Dictator is back
It's gonna
with
go
the
bad.
Sultanate 2.0, and this time with a
Foreshadowing, guys,
population of over
foreshadowing.
100 people.
I want to maintain order and peace in the desert.
The rules, as established by the Sultan, included wear proper attire, do not eat pork, complete your mandatory work, and most
the
importantly,
fuck?
acknowledge the Sultan as the supreme and divinely chosen leader. Moving on, since it was still hard to get food in the dry
It's Iran.
climate, the people of the Sultanate
That's Iraq.
focused on developing different types of food production, like fishing in the surrounding ocean. On top of this, a player named Drip Chicken made a chicken market, although when I checked it out myself,
Hey,
it turned out
KFC.
to be a very different type of market.
Welcome to Los Pollos Hermanos.
Thank you.
Would you like some totally legal sugar?
Anyway, we finally go back to the Snow Island. As I was flying around, I found what I can only describe
Is he
as
selling
a
drugs?
British shrimp. Is the cold climate really the best place for a shrimp?
I mean, depends. But look at my little friend over here, you know?
Wait, who's your friend? Underneath?
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's fully here. He's literally.
Oh, the screen. Oh, that's cute.
Oh,
That's
he's
cute.
up here now.
No, my
He's gonna
fish
die.
buddy. Please go back down.
Despite the killer powdered snow and the occasional polar bear, the people on the Snow Island were actually doing
Wait,
pretty
I didn't know there was polar bears in Minecraft. What the fuck? When did they add it in? I didn't know there was polar bears in Minecraft. When did they add that? Was it like a new thing? Is it a new thing? No, right? I don't know. I've not played Minecraft for a very long time, so.
well building settlements together. Nobody was fighting because everyone had one common enemy,
Polar
the harsh
bears.
climate. That being said, it turned out that all of these snow settlements might be a bit more than just little communities. On day 2, rumor was getting out about a conspiracy that, despite them all being spread out across the entire island, a lot of these snow settlements were actually all being run by one single person whose goal was to unify the entire snow island under one
What?
mighty empire. This person's name was Alanulo, and he was running this entire empire recruitment operation from an underground bunker where
Wait,
he
what?
felt he was safe for the time being. Essentially what he would do was hold meetings with people who were already leaders of their own settlements and convince them to merge their civilizations with his empire so they would be stronger together. He would give
Dude, that's
these leaders
crazy.
orders to fulfill, and in exchange
Wait.
they would be guaranteed high-ranking positions in the empire. If this
Wait, so he just stays in his bunker the entire time? Yo. Paranoid. Actual paranoid.
empire actually succeeds in uniting all 300 people on the Snow Island, it would easily become the most powerful nation in the world. In fact, it would be bigger than the Sultanate and the two
Wait, this on day
Plains
2, right?
democracies
It's day 2.
combined. Will this ambitious plan actually succeed?
Dude, they're
Let's see
united
what
on day 2.
happens in the following days.
Unification in day 2. What the frick? Here's what I think. Like, I think I would never choose the desert and the snow island, right? Because I think these two are the worst islands so far. Like, obviously the best island here is a Plains Island. The other two are really bad. Because the snow has like snow. and lack of wood. The desert has no water and no wood as well. And then the jungle has like so many mobs, hostile mobs. So these three islands are the poor islands, and then the Plains Island is a rich island. You got it. Oh my god, 80 people died already. Damn.
We've now covered the
80 people.
politics of every island except for the jungle. So, what's going on here? Well, quite frankly, I had no freaking idea. It was chaos. There were about 30 different camps and tribes spread out across the entire
what monkey-
island,
wait,
and a
monkey
lot
god?
of them were in constant fights with each other. Oh,
This statue.
who are the? What is going on? There's a fight here. Here's a tribe that imprisoned one of their own members for being, quote, too rich.
I say we tax
Wait,
him
what?
and then let him out of jail. Who else?
boots.
Take
What?
shoes.
So overall, there was chaos. Nobody trusted
For
one
being too
another, and
rich?
to add to this, nobody wanted to travel too far into the jungle because they were scared of rogue tribes and especially hostile mobs. In fact,
Oh,
we
that makes
actually had
sense.
to remove creepers on day 3 because they were killing too many people.
Whoever asks.
Oh, rip.
Now, there were
Rip.
actually 2 tribes that were considered the most influential in
Rip
the
Bozo,
jungle.
rip.
The first, a river-based settlement called the Sea People, whose leader was killed almost immediately by a random rogue tribe. The new leader,
The Sea People?
Yeatspeak, dedicated his rule to maintaining order, but also to keeping his people happy by setting up events like stand-up comedy nights.
I got a few jokes about unemployed people. Oh wait, none of them work.
The second influential tribe was located in the
That was
dead
good, that was good.
center of the jungle, and it was what appeared to be a faction revolving around the worship of a player named Seth. Hello, Mr. Seth.
Oh, what's up, bro?
Oh,
Wait,
this
why do they
is
look the
just
same?
creepy. You're telling me this isn't a personality cult?
Nah, I wouldn't say that. It's a way of life, alright? It's a religion.
Lastly, as I was flying around, I happened to run into this guy
I'm
again.
gonna take over the world.
Believe it or
What was
not,
the
he had
guy?
actually become the leader of a pretty impressive settlement. Granted, there was a lot of internal drama in his tribe.
Do you see this like really cool tower thing that we're building here?
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. It's really cool, isn't it? And do you see our farm over there?
Uh-huh.
It's really cool and nice. Now come over here. Could you tell us what this is?
In short, 2 of Wazik's tribe members built a librarian's tower, and he thought it was ugly and wanted to burn it down. Now, when I talked to the librarians, they said Wazik just doesn't like the library because he's illiterate. As I said,
Ooh.
drama. Now, the jungle wasn't
Burned.
the only place having
Roasted.
problems. The Plains
You're
Island
roasted.
was seeing both a surge in development, this whole place is awesome, but also a rise in tension. The leader of one of the Plains democracies, Horus Crown, had found out that the other Plains nation, run by Sidefall, had reached out to the Snow Island, looking for potential alliances.
Ooh, drama,
Horus
drama.
Crown did not like that Sidefall was reaching out to other islands instead of reaching out to him, so he quickly
Oh, he's a
established his
traitor.
own alliance with 2 other
Traitor.
Plains settlements, both located on the east side of the island, which would essentially cut off Sidefall's access to most of Plains if a war
okay.
were to.
Okay, now I get why he sent the warden up last time. I see why now. He got betrayed by his own island people. And then he went crazy in the rich and poor island experiment. That makes sense. Oh, hi Blue Whale. Hello. What is this? We're watching a Minecraft video. Yeah, it's by this guy called Ish. He does like experiments, social experiments in Minecraft. Yeah. So like there's 1,000 people. Okay, so here's the context, right? There's 1,000 people in this experiment. They're split between 4 islands: desert, jungle, snow, and plains. There are 4 different biomes. And then they're free to do whatever they want. Yeah. Then they create like civilizations, nations, and it's hardcore Minecraft. So once you die, you're out. You're dead. Yeah. Oh my god, fun. Yeah, it's fun. It looks very fun. I wanted to join the next one, but apparently I was too late. I kind of missed the application process for the next experiment. So we're gonna wait until the next one. Kind of sucks.
Break out.
We think Sidefall is definitely up to something, and we're planning to stop him.
The people living on the Plains Island, who had otherwise taken their peaceful lives for granted, were getting very worried about a potential massive war that would devastate their homes.
KFC.
KFC, we want family, not war.
Wait,
Meanwhile, on the desert,
here's the Colonel Sanders skin. Actually. Yo. 07. The RP. The roleplay. Wow.
Island, the Sultan storming hell was not happy when he discovered that a group of mountaineers had made their home on the mountains surrounding the Sultanate. So the two groups had a meeting to discuss this dispute over land.
Why does the Sultanate have any more right to a plot of land?
Simply, might makes right. We're stronger, so if it comes down to it, may the stronger group win.
People in the desert were starting to get
Okay,
worried about
he's not
storming
wrong,
hell's
though.
tyrannical nature, so
He's not
some
wrong.
of them moved to a quickly growing democratic nation on the other side of the island.
Wait, Sebs. He's from the Rich and Poor Island. He's the MC, the main character in the Rich and Poor Island experiment, the one that we watched last week. Last week.
This was Theria, the name derived from the Greek word for freedom. I asked their elected president, Saps, about the Sultanate.
Hopefully we can establish some peaceful relations for now. I mean, we're in the middle of a desert. Why fight, you know?
Overall, each island had its own conflict between the desert's sultan dominance, the plains' alliance disaster, the jungle's total chaos, and the Snow Empire's takeover. At least one of these conflicts was bound to erupt very soon.
Ooh.
And that
More
conflict
drama.
was Plains. At the beginning of day 4, a propagandist told everyone that Sidefall was about to attack the Plains Island.
Wait, this is Sidefall 2.0. What the fuck? Is this where Sidefall got his inspiration from? Because in the Rich and Poor Island video, right, Sidefall was the one spreading fake news, propaganda. So this is like the 1.0 version, the beta version, the alpha version.
Horus Crown called a code red, and everyone on Plains was freaking out, including these guys at the center of the Plains Island who built a tavern on a
that's
lake.
cute.
I spoke with the bartender.
Tavern.
Welcome to the tavern. I hope you can enjoy a nice beer, since it might be
That's
our
cute.
last.
So at this point, you're probably wondering, what was Sidefall actually doing? Well, it turns out Sidefall was just as confused as everyone else, since he had no plans to attack anyone. The
That's Tavern,
propagandist
yeah.
had lied.
I have no clue what these guys are talking about. I don't want to attack anyone. I don't want a civil war.
You were framed. I can't believe it. So now, both sides were gearing up for a war over nothing but a miscommunication. And all throughout, Sidefall was desperately trying to reach out to
I see Spoot.
nothing but a
Spoot. Glory to West Helm, guys. Glory to West Helm.
miscommunication. And all throughout, Sidefall was desperately trying to reach out to the other Plains leaders, saying that he didn't want war. The other leaders doubted him, but they actually agreed to meet with him as long as they met on neutral ground.
Whoever told you guys I want war is lying.
Tell us the truth then.
While they talked, Horus Crown secretly had undercover spies search Sidefall's entire village, but he wasn't aware Sidefall had someone else place a bunch of TNT under his village. But before things went too far...
Folks, we have a peace deal.
W.
By the thinnest of margins, crisis was averted. After
They were this close to being at war. This close.
talking,
Wow.
the leaders
They were so close.
had made a peace treaty. I actually didn't get to see much of the meeting, but here's essentially what happened. Sidefall first apologized to the other Plains leaders for not being open with them, specifically about his relationship with the Snow Island. He told them he had only reached out to Snow in hopes to get on the good side of a player named A Freakin' Turkey, who was apparently Olanulo's second in command. The Plains leaders discussed their disagreements on foreign relations, Horus Crown preferring keeping alliances within Plains, and Sidefall believing in making allies on other islands, but they were able to put their differences aside. They banished the propagandist from the Plains Island, and at the end, the four major Plains nations created a Great Plains Alliance. The Plains Island went from being on the brink of war to being the most united island of all. And it wasn't just Plains. Toward the end of the day, all four islands were prospering. From the people on Snow collecting resources and building together, to the people in the desert working on the Sultan's build
Wait, is that Among
project,
Us?
which was
Wait.
create a massive
Wait, that's
whole
Among Us statue. What the fuck? Wait, that's that. Wait, let's see that,
together,
right?
to the people in the desert
Wait, it's Among Us.
working on the Sultan's build project, which was to create a
Sus.
massive holy city. Even the jungle was at peace at the end of day 4, since the remaining jungle people were just thankful that they were still alive. Soon though, it was the next day. But before we let people
Ooh,
back
20
onto
people
the
died.
server, the admins and I
20
decided
people
to
died.
add a little something.
Ooh, the 5th island.
We added a 5th
Yo, that's-
island in
that's
the
smart.
center of the world, and we didn't
That's so smart,
tell
that's
the
big brain.
players that we did this. We wanted to see
5 hit.
who would discover the island, how long it would take to find, and then what would happen next. So, we started up the server, and the wait began.
What does he have though?
But meanwhile, we have to talk about the Snow Island.
Uh-oh.
Hello, Turkey!
Hello, Ish. How's it going?
On day 5, the player A Freakin' Turkey finally gave me a full explanation of the mysterious Snow Empire, which I found out was named the Aculon Empire.
Aculon.
Still fearing for his safety, the Empire's founder,
Yo,
Olanulo,
he's just a
gave
scaredy cat,
orders
man.
entirely
What a
from his
coward.
secret underground bunker, while his second in command, A Freakin' Turkey,
a
carried out
coward.
his orders and led the people on the ground.
Bro,
You guys have
it's day 5 and he has been staying in his bunker for 5 days. The entire time. Yo, this is like the peak of paranoia, man. His peak coward. Scaredy cat.
settlements across the entire
For 5
island.
days.
There is a lot. Just know none of it
Like
was
real days.
made by slaves.
Real life days.
The Empire relied on strict order to maintain peace. It's now 200 citizens were each assigned a daily job like building, mining, or fighting. And whenever they were online, all citizens were required to be in 2 Discord voice channels at once.
Holy
which
shit.
I didn't even know was possible. Also,
What
the
the
Aculon
fuck? Yo, did you just see that? Yo, this is like insane, man.
2 Discord voice channels
Oh
at
my
once,
goodness.
which I didn't even know.
Yo. Oh my goodness. And there's 2. There's only 1.
Was
Yeah, 2
possible.
servers.
Also, the Aculon Empire made it a point to document everything, including its list of members, its hierarchies, its physical.
Wait. What the they have a they have spreadsheets. They have Excel sheets.
The points to
What the
document
actual fuck?
everything, including its list of members.
Dude, yeah. What the hell is this? They have like different teams. All the way from Alpha to Mikey.
Its hierarchy.
Victor, what the frick? That's like 19 teams. And they have like an entire rank system as well.
Its physical landmarks, but what I found most impressive
Yeah,
was the
only 5 days.
high-level operation going
Yeah,
on
they wanted
in
to win, man.
this
Yeah, they're so
seemingly
like
regular building.
focused.
This singular
Also locked
building
on.
is the richest place in the entire server.
They called this the Quartermaster's House, and it was where the Aculon Empire not only collected and stored all its resources, but also distributed items using a complex request system, where, for example, a citizen asks for iron ingots, and then the Quartermasters decide exactly
Wait.
how much iron that citizen deserves, based on a detailed algorithm they developed. Has anyone
Wait, isn't it just communism? Hold on a sec. That's communism. That's communist. Chuchumate. That's Marxist. Yo,
tried breaking into this place?
what is this?
Not yet. Let's just say, if you tried to get in without permission, you're not gonna get a very nice welcome.
And I
Oh.
kid you not, just a few minutes later, this player, Xelius, was caught trying to sneak his way in, and he was sentenced to a public execution to be held the next day.
Okay, that's
Things are kinda
overkill.
strict around here, huh?
As
That's
long as they don't
overkill.
take me my squid, I'm a happy man. Oh man, look at him.
The squid.
Snow Island
It's still alive.
continued to be hyper vigilant about
Cute.
criminals, but
Kawaii.
so were other nations, like the Desert Sultanate, which made an inescapable prison. He is surrounded by lava. Or Wazak's nation in the jungle, which made a giant sand trap. Oh, this is evil.
Just you wait until we
Yo,
have a nice
wait,
little
that's-
deliberation with some.
that's
I'm
evil.
gonna be put to death, you know. Like,
Even planes didn't feel exactly safe, as this self-described capitalist nation made a giant wall to protect its people.
We want to make sure that communists cannot take this away from us.
Yeah,
But
fuck the
as I was
communists.
talking to these
Fuck
guys,
them.
I got tipped off from someone in the desert that something big was about to happen. The
L
Sultanate
communism,
army's on
guys.
the
L
move.
communism. L to the communists.
The Sultan
wait, what's
sent his
going on?
elite squad on a secret nighttime
shit.
mission. Their goal? To find a group of people that had been rumored to want to assassinate the Sultan. They're at the north side of the island now.
Oh yeah, okay, this is our target, this is our target.
Okay, let's go, let's go.
According to the Sultan, the people hiding in this little settlement were indeed the attempted assassins, and now the group had a decision to make.
Oh, we're gonna kill this guy.
Do we kill this guy?
Up until now, there hadn't been any violence between desert nations. Will this be the breaking point?
Oh, but they haven't done anything that yet though. That's crazy.
We are showing the desert that if you make plans to kill me, justice will come for you.
The Sultan's elite squad
Just
spent the
because
rest-
you're planning to kill you doesn't mean that you can kill them, right? That's like, that's crazy, man.
of the night raiding the settlement, but during their chase of another suspected assassin, they ran literally into a major dilemma.
We know he's running to Theria.
The guy they were trying to kill was running toward the democratic nation of Theria to get asylum there. The Sultanate is really about to roll up on Theria. Holy, this could cause a major conflict. But the Sultanate's army didn't care. They barged into Theria and searched every single house to find this one person who ultimately ended up getting away. Meanwhile, the people of Theria were freaked out by the raid, but when they looked to their leader Saps for guidance, he was nowhere to be seen.
Hey, Saps.
He had fled.
My man.
Eventually, the Sultanate's army left, but Theria was not going to forget this.
Yo, 50 people died again. Yo, they have like 800 people left. 200 people died over like 5 days. Oh my.
By attempting to blow up the quartermaster's house, Zelius betrayed our people. And for this, he must die. Glory to Aculon.
Ooh.
It was a busy day
Dictatorship,
for
guys.
a freaking
Dictatorship.
Turkey. The execution was successful, but the empire didn't yet have a written constitution or a justice system. So a freaking Turkey met with a player who claimed to be a lawyer to set up a legal system.
Wait,
You get the smaller
is it,
seat,
wait,
unfortunately.
hold on. Is that actual lawyer? Is he like a lawyer in real life as well? Yo.
But do know it is quite important as well.
I'm used to cramming into tight spaces.
Afterward, a freaking Turkey took his guard to Drew and confronted
Crazy.
some farmers who he claimed
Actual
weren't
lawyer.
producing enough food for the empire.
I swear I will not miss any payment I have to owe you.
Drew, the bow, please. I expect 5 stacks of bread delivered within 1 to 2 business days.
Even though he was a little tyrannical
Overfarming,
at times,
overfarming.
a freaking Turkey was actually becoming very well liked in the Aculon Empire because he got things done and he was a charismatic speaker.
Actual Sigma.
Fellow citizens, it is my distinct honor to pronounce Steve and Pixel as husband and wife.
Ooh, marriage.
See, even though he was only the second in
Oh
command
my,
of
wait,
the Snow's
wait,
Aculon.
hold on a minute. Wait, what's that? Wait, what's that?
See, even
Wait,
though
hold
he
on a
was
minute. Yo, what are they doing under there?
only the second
Bro. Oh my goodness. Wait, is that allowed to wait, can I show that on stream? Is that allowed? That's crazy.
in command of the Snow's Aculon Empire, many people were starting to view a freaking Turkey as a better candidate for leader than Alanulo, since most people in the Empire had never even seen Alanulo, given that he's been hiding
makes sense.
underground the entire time, afraid of being assassinated. In fact, some of his own citizens weren't even sure he existed. While Alanulo ruled from afar, only talking with high-ranking officials, a freaking Turkey was considered a man of the people, someone who talks to everyone. In fact, a freaking Turkey had gained so much notoriety that leaders of other nations were starting to reach out to him for alliances rather than to Alanulo. So as a result of all of this, Alanulo was starting to get a little worried.
Turkey knows that I created this empire
The
and
fuck
its
this guy,
entire
man?
political system, and as long as I am alive,
Bro, this
I
dude.
will be its only ruler.
Oh, he did nothing. He didn't even do anything. He just stayed in his bunker for like 6 days. He's not good. Okay, because at least Turkey did shit, right? He did something. This dude just sat in his bunker for 6 days. Bro, the audacity, man, the audacity. The freaking audacity to say that. Can't believe it.
That's very funny.
Our monkey religion, we hold fast to it.
Here on the Jungle Island, things haven't slowed down one bit. Amidst the chaos, this small group had made a monkey religion, and their goal was to build the biggest tree in the entire world.
The monkey never
Yo,
stops.
that's
While
huge.
everyone else is fighting and killing each other, we are peacefully building.
By now, every tribe in the jungle seems
The
to have
monkey
its
circle.
own goal. These guys building a tree. This group, called the Blue Cross, provided food and shelter to
Oh, the Blue
refugees.
Cross.
Meanwhile, Wazak's goal,
Blue
which was
Cross.
still to take over the world, was seemingly driving him mad, especially after the librarians built a second tower. You did this out of
Oh,
spite,
shit.
didn't you?
Yeah. Well, no. Well, yeah.
Overall, it seemed like there was a lot on Wazak's mind, as if he was planning something. Something
Uh-oh.
big.
Uh-oh.
Meanwhile, Seth and the Sea People were still the two biggest tribes in the jungle, and both pursued very
that
innovative
chicken?
political strategies. For example,
That's a chicken.
Seth got married, but only so he could parade around the jungle and demand wedding gifts from everyone. And you know
Oh, okay,
what?
that's smart.
It
That's
freaking
smart.
worked. The Sea People,
That's
on the
big
other
brain.
hand, had taken on a massive goal, which was to finally end the chaos in the jungle. And they did this by sending out stealth groups and hunting down thieves, murderers, and anyone who they claimed did wrong. However, some of the supposed
wait.
wrongdoers they killed were actually allies of Seth. In response,
Wait, so they're like the police then? They're the police.
Seth
Oh.
demanded that the Sea People stop their initiative immediately, but the Sea People planned to continue. All of a sudden, the Jungle Island was on the verge of a massive war, as if there wasn't enough chaos already.
The Poke Monkey.
Wait, is someone
Wait,
actually
okay,
here?
that name's rock. That name rocks.
Oh, this is crazy.
Smart
This is
name. Awesome name. Poke Monkey.
On day 7, a player named the Pokemonkey discovered the secret 5th island. The island had a mysterious dead
Oh, wait,
terrain,
she found
a
it.
small pre-built village in the center, and underground, it
Someone
contained
found it.
netherite, which is the strongest
Oh,
and
netherite.
rarest resource in the world.
Bro, they're gonna fight over this island so badly, guys. Oh my god, there's gonna be a war. They're gonna fight over this. It's gonna be bad, right?
Now,
It's gotta
Pokemonkey
be
was
so
a part
bad.
of Sidefall's nation in Plains, and he quickly alerted Sidefall about the very strange and unexpected discovery he'd just made. He's taking the blue lantern so people believe him. Guys, I'm not lying, there really is an island! 2 minutes later, another person found the center island. This time, someone from the jungle. Then, like a domino effect, more and more people
Uh-oh.
started arriving, typically either alone or in small groups, like these guys from the desert. Even though they all came from different islands and nations, nobody was fighting. In fact, they seemed to be
really?
forming friendships and simply
Hey,
admiring this new
cute.
mysterious place. He's saying this
Aw.
is amazing. Quickly, word began spreading across the world that there was a 5th island, and about 30 minutes into day 7, basically everyone knew. It was crazy how fast everyone found out. Now, some nations were hesitant about visiting, believing that the island was some sort of trap, while other nations like the Aculon Empire sent out large exploratory groups to investigate the island. So Aculon is here, but instead of mining for netherite, they're taking the wool from the tents. Oh, they don't have sheep in the snow island. That makes sense. Something I found interesting was that no nation, not even the Snow Empire, had the courage to publicly claim the center island as part of their nation, as their territory, probably because it would result in conflict with other nations, which was my secret intention when adding the island, that it would cause some type
evil.
of war. But it didn't cause a
Evil.
war, or maybe just not yet.
And that's surprising, right? Because you would think that that would start a war. But it makes sense not to claim it because, like, if you claim it, the other three nations, the other 3 islands will attack you, right? So it makes sense not to claim it as an island. That makes sense. So it kind of backfired on him. It didn't start a war.
Meanwhile, I present to you the story of Los Pollos Hermanos.
Oh, it's the guy again.
Wow, you've really expanded your business.
Yeah, we're doing quite well.
Because starvation was such a big problem in the desert, Drip Chicken had made it his life's mission to feed the people of the desert. And ever since I spoke with him on day 2 next to his little food stand, Los Pollos Hermanos had become a staple of the Sultanate. But this business would soon run into some problems. See, on days 4 and 5, the Sultan storming hell was unsatisfied with the slow progress on his build project, the Holy City. So he demanded that the farmers of the Sultanate stop growing food and instead work on his build project. And just like that, the food supply going into Los Pollos Hermanos had completely stopped. The restaurant suddenly had no food available to sell. Having no food, Drip Chicken was instead forced to sell some questionable products, and if he was caught selling these products by either the Sultan or the Sultan's twin guards, he would probably receive a life sentence in the Sultanate prison. Meanwhile,
wait, so let me get this right first. Hold on. So he couldn't sell chicken because the Sultan was getting everyone to work on the project, right? And then he had to sell drugs to stay alive. To make money. Damn.
The farmers of the Sultanate were unhappy since they wanted to farm, not be forced to build. So in a rebellious move on day 5, Drip Chicken and the farmers secretly set up a meeting with Saps, the leader of Theria.
I know you want to move to Theria, but if you do, the Sultan will send his elite squad to hunt you down.
So, what do we do?
Go to plains or something. There's about to be chaos in the desert.
And Saps was correct.
He's right.
There was about to be chaos in the desert. For reasons he couldn't tell the farmers.
Why is there so many Among Us in this video? What the frick?
Correct. There was about to be chaos in the...
Why? Why is there so many Among Us? I swear. God. Oh my goodness. How many Among Us are there in this freaking video? I swear, man. Fuck Among Us, man. Screw that game.
Desert. For reasons he couldn't tell the farmers just yet, but he did tell me.
You know who Davert is?
Yeah, I think so. He's one of the twin guards, right?
He's about to leave the Sultanate and join me.
Really? The two people the Sultan trusts the most are his 2 twin guards, the brothers Davert and Zamta, but one of them had grown tired of the authoritarian and warmongering ways of the Sultan. So Davert had reached out to the leader of Theria, and together they created the single craziest plan I have ever heard, and this was it. First, Davert leaves the Sultanate to join Theria. Next, the Sultan finds out about the betrayal and sends his elite squad to kill Davert. Then, when the elite squad is away hunting for Davert and the Sultan is therefore alone, Davert will sneak back into the Sultanate
Is he gonna go
and
back?
kill the Sultan. Davert
Is he
will
gonna
then
go back and
claim
kill him?
leadership over the Sultanate, and as the new leader, he will finally bring peace to the desert. Davert, there is no way this works.
Yeah, there's no way it works, man. There's no way.
Trust me, you'll work, alright?
So, at the end of day 7,
There's no way.
Davert snuck out of the Sultanate and headed to Theria to begin the operation, while Drip Chicken and the farmers fled to the Plains Island. On their way out, some of them took one final look back at their home, at their restaurant, knowing that they would probably never see it again, knowing that the story of Los Pollos Hermanos had come to an end.
I mean, they can always open like a new one in like the plains in Theria, right? They can always open another one. So like another outlet.
On day 8, there was a major event on the Snow Island. For the first time ever, Emperor
Oh my god, he's
Alani-
out. Bro, he's out finally for after like 7 days. 8 days. Finally, he's out of this bunker. Bro, he's been staying in his bunker for the entire time, I swear. This dude is crazy.
Lo had come out from his underground bunker. He had summoned the entire Snow Island to the Aculon Castle so he could publicly be crowned as the leader. Before the coronation, all high-ranking officials were required to provide Alanilo a gift.
I present to you a high-quality pair of premium brand sneakers.
Thank you, Applewood.
I, Baron Saul Goodman, give you this present, Lord Alanulo. My presence is your present.
What?
After the gifts, Alanulo asked his second-in-command, A Freakin' Turkey, to make a speech affirming Alanulo's undisputed leadership.
My friends, the Aculon Empire is the strongest nation in the world. Not because of one leader, but because of all of us.
He's gonna get mad.
Thank you, Turkey.
At the end of the ceremony, Alanilo asked all of his citizens to follow him out of the castle, down the main path of the Empire, in a symbolic move meant to showcase the unity of the Snow Island.
Hey, that's cool. That's cool.
But this image of unity was only a mirage. There was a lot of discontent building within the Empire for many reasons. People didn't like that Alanilo's knights were constantly bossing them around, nor did the Aculon builders like it when Alanilo forced them to work on the Aculon Castle instead of letting them finish their own projects. There was this general sense that Alanilo might be overreaching with his power, especially when he started spying on his own citizens to see who was criticizing his leadership. See, Alanilo believed that in order for his citizens to have a good life, they have to live in a strong nation, and the only way to maintain a strong nation was through complete unity under a powerful and unchallenged leader. This is why Alanilo was fearful about the discontent.
Bro, this is not Korea. They literally made North Korea. What the fuck? It's not Korea, bro. Oh, hi, Softy. Hello. Hey, hello. Hello. Yeah, we're watching this video by Ish. It's the previous one. The prequel to Rich and Poor Island.
Within his nation, as well as the rising popularity of his second-in-command, A Freakin' Turkey. Knowing that they were being spied on, many of A Freakin' Turkey's supporters were becoming scared living on the Snow Island, afraid that they would be executed for not supporting Alanilo's leadership. So, with the help of A Freakin' Turkey, plus another high-ranking official, its Ender, some Aculon citizens organized secret evacuations out of the Snow Island through underground tunnels, some of which led to Seth's nation in the jungle, others going to Sidefall's nation in plains.
Wait, so Turkey is just leading people out of the Snow Empire? The Snow Nation? Did I get it right? It's a defensive structure. Oh, I see.
Then Sidefall were very open to accepting refugees, especially those who opposed Alanilo, someone who they believed to be a dangerous tyrant. Also, they had just found out that Alanilo had actually sent spies all across the world, including into their own nations, so they didn't like him very much.
Oh, so wait, so they found spies.
Some form of democracy in Snow. I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
Meanwhile, in Plains, Mr. Turkey, are you starting a revolution?
No, I do not want a revolution. I just want to make sure Alanilo doesn't kill these people.
When are you going back to the Snow Island?
Probably tomorrow, because I'm gonna try and host a meeting with Alanilo. I just think he's gone too far.
So while A Freakin' Turkey stayed on the Plains Island for the rest of the day, Seth and Sidefall created the first ever multi-island treaty. This treaty not only established Seth and Sidefall as allies, but it also declared their nations refugee states, ones that are willing to accept all people fleeing from dictatorial...
Wait, that's real life. What the frick? Damn. They're copying real life.
regimes like the Sultanate or
Refugee
the
states.
Akulon Empire. As for
That's
Afrik and
cool.
Turkey's position in the Akulon
That's so
Empire,
cool.
he was still technically the second in command, but it was only a matter of time before Olanulo finds out about the missing citizens, and then it's very likely that Turkey will be stripped of his position or be kicked out of the Snow Island entirely and
I think
become
he's
a
in danger.
refugee himself.
He's in danger.
Yeah, I don't know if... Wait, is that a basketball
Wait.
court? On day 8,
Wait,
the
what?
center island was getting a lot of visits from curious players, and instead of fighting each other, everyone was just kind of hanging out and doing their own thing.
TB, look at this.
What is this? Don't
What's
question
that?
me. Later that night, some adventurers started terraforming the dead terrain, making it green. This actually looks not bad. These guys, meanwhile, made a secret underground church, and they hosted many ceremonies and cultural events.
Wait.
What type of ritual is this? Now, I actually attended 2 churches on day 8, the second one inside Falls Nation, although I was very disturbed by the person sitting next to me.
A card?
After a near-death experience, life began to feel more sacred, only due in part to the wonders they hold. I cannot say what they are, however, right way to lead this world.
Whoa, what did I do? They're taking him away. Oh no. Later that night, the Plains Island received an unexpected visit from the Akulon Empire's state-sponsored journalist. I'm with the news. Down with the
Wait.
news. Go away, tabloids.
journalist.
Go away. No false news today. They're kicking out the journalist. Oh my God. Meanwhile, I ran into these Plains farmers
Fake
who
news.
literally did nothing but plant wheat everywhere. Oh my
Oh my god.
This freaking wheat.
It's
Now,
massive.
right next to the wheat field was a cookie factory
That's
in Horse
huge.
Crown's Nation, which took the wheat and made a variety of baked goods. See, ever since the Great Plains Alliance was signed on day 4, the people of Plains believed their island to be, for the most part, a very safe place to live, and as a result, many players felt secure enough to run their own businesses. There was the bakery, an Outback Steakhouse, boating and kayaking, 2 KFCs, and there was the
KFCs?
most recent addition, Los Pollos Hermanos.
Hey! Wait, they came to the Plains
You made
Island?
one in the Plains biome?
Yes. Expansion.
Claiming refugee status, Drip Chicken and the Sultanate farmers received citizenship inside Falls Nation, where they were able to rebuild their famous restaurant, and the people of Plains welcomed the refugees with open arms. The only person who wasn't happy was the owner of KFC, who now had competition.
Nah, cause Colonel Sanders is so not happy, guys. He's not happy. Colonel Sanders is mad. The Colonel is mad.
Anyway, when word got out in the desert that Drip Chicken and the farmers had fled the Sultanate, as did Davrit, many loyalists in the Sultanate were furious with these betrayals. While the Sultanate was still the second most powerful nation in the world, the first being Akulon, these betrayals of the Sultanate hurt the Sultan's public image, and he feared being seen as weak by the world and by his own people. So predictably, the Sultan sent his elite squad out into the desert to try to find and kill both Davrit
Wait, so the
and
plan
Drip
worked,
Chicken.
right?
But instead of staying home in the Sultanate, this time
No.
the Sultan traveled with his elite squad.
Oh,
This threw a
shit.
wrench into Davrit's assassination
Oh,
plan,
shit.
and Davrit had no choice but to keep hiding underground until he saw an opportunity to strike.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because they're planning to lure out the elite squad, so that Davrit can go back to the Sultanate and kill the Sultan, right? So they were planning to kill him alone when the elite squad was out hunting him. But they didn't plan for the Sultan to join the elite squad.
Meanwhile, the leader of Theria, Saps, was extremely worried because he knew that the fate of his nation and his people rested on this assassination attempt. If it succeeds and the Sultan is killed, well, then all is well. But if it fails, it will only be a matter of time before the Sultan finds out that Saps was behind the plan, and then there is no doubt that the Sultan will seek revenge and absolutely obliterate Theria, killing not just Saps, but all his people people who, by the way, were entirely innocent. Saps purposefully didn't tell any of his citizens that he was involved in an assassination plot because they definitely
Hey,
wouldn't
Flux.
approve.
Wait, Flux. Flux. Hey, Flux. Hello, hello. Hi, Flux. Ni hao. My man Flux here.
Of something that puts them in such danger. All of this tension in the desert was really
Wait, hold on a
starting to
minute,
get-
hold on a minute, hold on a minute. Wait, that means that Flux is with Saps? Wait, they're part of the same nation. They're part of the Democratic Nation, right? On the desert. Okay, that's... What the that's my fuck.
to some people, like this group, which made a giant lava wall around their civilization. They wanted
Lava?
nothing to do with the politics of the desert, and they were rather paranoid about everything.
Wait, hold on a minute. They had this in the Rich and Poor Island as well, right? They had the same thing. In the Rich and Poor Island. It was on the Poor Island, I think. They had the same thing. They built like a wall around like their nation. Yeah.
Safe. We can't leave the walls for long because then we're not safe. Everyone inside the walls is safe. Everyone outside is not safe. They're strangers. We shouldn't trust them.
But that's Trump, bro.
Oh, by the way, also don't push any buttons you find in here.
Okay.
Literally
I actually
Trump.
think this group was more of a cult than a civilization,
We need a
but
Great Wall.
still, I think they had the right idea. And now we go back to the Jungle War. I say war because both major nations had already basically decided that they cannot coexist in the jungle. Seth was mad at the Sea People for killing many of his allies, while the Sea People were mad because Seth wouldn't let them kill those who they believed to be criminals. Neither nation was willing to compromise on this, so war seemed inevitable. However, because Seth
Now it's a volcano. Wait, there's a volcano? What? Volcano?
had also recently formed an alliance with Sidefall from Plains, a war between the two jungle nations would likely cause Sidefall, as well as the rest of the Plains Island, to join the battle, thus turning this into an actual world war.
Shit.
So, given that the stakes were so much higher now, both sides agreed to have one final meeting to maybe work things out. It was Wazak who quickly offered his nation as a good neutral location for the meeting, and
Wait.
he was quite
Wait.
enthusiastic about hosting.
Wait, wasn't Wazok the guy who wanted to rule the world? To take over the world? He said it on day 1, right?
On day 8, Seth and the Sea People sent their highest ranking officials to Wazak's nation, where the meeting would take place.
Alright, Seth. You're up first.
I think the Sea People are killing people for a lot of irrational reasons. So, you know, as an example, right? They had 5 stacks of cookies taken from them. That takes like 3 minutes to get, bro. And he's like, I don't think you should murder someone over that.
We requested he give it back, and he basically said no, so he was put on
Bro,
KO.
5 stacks. That's a lot. 5 stacks. 5 stacks.
And we killed him.
So that was exactly what Seth just said.
Let me add some context.
Soon, the argument began to escalate.
And the people you attacked were direct allies.
I'm sorry, but what other ways do we have to stop the chaos in the jungle?
They stole. They didn't deserve to be killed over it.
Do you really want to go to war over this?
Well, if you keep killing our people, then we won't just stand by and watch.
All right, fine. The Sea People declare war.
All right, let's do it.
But before a fight could begin, Wazak yelled,
"Double now!"
Oh shit. Oh. Oh. Yo, wait. Yo. Ooh. Yo, I forgot that he built a trap. I totally forgot. He did it on day 3, I think. Damn. That's awesome. Bro, I like this guy. This guy's cool.
Wazak had just killed 7 people using his sand trap before getting away. Seth and the Sea People decided to put their war on hold and declared a unified worldwide manhunt for Wazak. Everyone was confused about why Wazak did this, but
Why
then I
though?
remembered
Why?
something Wazak had told me the day before.
Listen, if the war breaks out, I have a plan to stop him.
Really? How?
Wait, what?
Oh, you'll see, my friend.
When Seth and the Sea People
Wait,
declared war on each other,
Wait, so he did this to stop the war? What? So he killed 7 people, 6 people, to stop the war. Hey, that's big brain. Oh, I see now. So if you kill these people from both nations, they're gonna band up. They're gonna work together to find him and kill him. And that way, a war doesn't break out. Hey. Yeah, you're right, Softy, you're right. You're actually right. That's smart.
Wazak decided to use his sand trap and make himself the villain so that the entire jungle would make peace to unite against him, therefore actually preventing a world war. Wazak is now hiding underground. After spending most of the previous day trying to hunt down his enemies, the Sultan storming hell decided to take a break from the hunt and attend a wedding hosted by a small neighboring desert nation.
Wedding?
It was a huge honor in the desert for the Sultan to visit your civilization, so there was a lot of buzz surrounding the Sultan's visit, and everyone in the desert
Zaki,
knew
hello,
he would
hello.
be there. Zamta the
Hi,
twin
Zaki.
guard was also at the wedding, and he was quite thankful for the break since he secretly despised having to hunt for his own brother. When the Sultan demanded that
makes sense.
Davert be tracked down and killed, Zamta was horrified by this order, but he kept silent, fearing that he'd be next. Zamta could only hope that Davert was far away now, hiding in a place where the Sultan
Yeah, they're
would
twins,
never
right?
find him. But it turned out Davert was not far away at all, because
Wait, hold on a
he...
minute. Oh, we're 95% towards the goal. Let's go. Hey, we need like 2,000 more. We need 2,000 more points for the Love and Deep Space stream. Let's go.
was on a mission.
Nice. Oh shit, wait,
He's
what?
actually here.
Wait, he's underneath the... Oh shit.
Davrit was coming to kill the Sultan, but he had to be sneaky because the Sultan was guarded by his elite team. The plan was to catch him and his team off guard since it would only take a few hits to kill him.
Yeah, it's not gonna go well.
I'm so nervous right now.
He's gonna die. There's no way he does this, right?
Did the wedding end? The wedding's over. He's leaving. Oh, he's leaving.
No! You failed.
Oh! Davert! Holy crap! Oh! He's hit him so many times! Wait, Stormy's getting away? The elite team is on Davert big time!
No! No! Don't die, David. Please don't die.
Oh! Oh, he's getting close! He's getting close!
Kill him, kill him.
Oh, he turned around! Holy crap! Everyone's here now! This is insane!
Yeah, he's so dead. He's so dead. There's no way he lives this, right? There's no way he survives this. There's no way. There's no way. Oh, he dies. Of course. He dies. Rip. 07. Rip. No! Oh my, wait. Wait, he killed himself? Oh no. Oh no. Wait, wait, I remember Seb's trying to kill himself like last video, right? In the Rich and Poor Island video. Wait, he actually did it in this one. He actually jumped off. He did a Benji.
Salt is on his way back home, I think. What is happening?
Seps who have been hunted down? Yeah, you're right. No. Oh, it's alone. The Sultan. For his brother.
What?
Let's go. Let's go.
Oh boy.
He did it for his brother.
Angry about the death of his brother Davrit, Zamta betrayed and killed the Sultan, storming hell in what he called an act of revenge. All of a sudden, within the span of a few minutes, storming hell, Saps, and Davrit were all dead. Both the Sultanate and Theria were without a leader, and the desert island was in a state of total confusion.
Yeah, it's so cute. It's so chaotic.
Because the Sultanate didn't have a solid line of succession,
Sebs jumped too soon. Yeah, he should have just waited, right? He should have just waited for one day before jumping off. He jumped off too early.
there was a short power struggle that ended with the Sultanate getting completely dissolved. On day 9, the second most powerful nation in the world had fallen, and most of the Sultanate's citizens ended up fleeing. That being said, it wasn't totally the end. Some who were still loyal to the late Sultan decided to...
Wait, hold on, let me read that sign, hold on.
It wasn't totally the end.
Rip storming hell, our beloved Sultan. May he sleep with his 72 virgins, inshallah. What the fuck?
Some who were still loyal to the late Sultan decided to form their own
RP.
militia, whose only goal was to track down Zamta and avenge the Sultan.
We are called by our divine leader to kill the dirty traitor. Mashallah.
Mashallah.
Theria, on the other hand, didn't dissolve and instead elected a new leader, a player named Jophiel, who was well-liked and trusted in the community.
Wait, Jophiel. Tricolor.
Still, the people of Theria would continue to live in a state of fear, afraid they would be invaded by one of the new desert militias. Also, they would never find out why their founder Saps jumped off the Therian tower, which he did because of guilt. After he saw Davrit die, Saps believed that the Sultan would invade and destroy Theria, and he felt too ashamed knowing that he would be responsible. It was only thanks to Zamta that the...
Wait, that's what Benji did, right? Benji Button did. In the Rich and Poor Island video, he did the same thing. Like he was exposed for trying to kill Lingolini, and then he killed himself. He jumped off. It's the same thing.
The invasion didn't happen. The death of the Sultan sent shockwaves throughout not just the desert, but the whole world. Many nations went on lockdown, including the Akulon Empire. While they technically weren't allies, Emperor Olanilo had always admired Sultan Storming Hell's strong authoritarian leadership.
Of course.
After the lockdown, Olanilo sent his diplomats to the desert to offer support to the Sultanate militias. At the same time, on the Plains Island, Drip Chicken of Los Pollos Hermanos was watching the desert from afar, and he was worried about these rumored desert militias. Because Drip Chicken was from the desert, he was able to educate his customers in Plains about the politics of the desert, and after Saps' death, he encouraged Sidefall to send diplomats to Theria quickly, and Sidefall did just that. On day 9, Theria officially joined Seth and all the Plains nations in the refugee state contract, and what originally started as a simple refugee agreement between Seth and Sidefall had now turned into a worldwide alliance called the Alliance of Democratic Nations, or put
so literally the UN then. The United Nations.
Simply the Allies. As the people of the Aculon Empire continued their daily routines, the highest-ranking officials of the Empire gathered to discuss the new existential dilemma they were now facing. The Aculon Empire had always been the most powerful nation in the world, and it still technically is, but when adding together the populations of all the states in the Democratic Nations Alliance, it is the allies that have more people overall. This made Aculon officials extremely worried. They saw this as the first legitimate threat to the regime.
That's scared, bro.
Olanulo agreed with this view, but at the moment, his attention was on another problem entirely. The problem known as African Turkey.
Uh-oh.
African Turkey's rise to popularity
No,
had
don't kill
always
him.
bothered
Don't kill
Olanulo,
him.
but now this
The
conflict
hero.
was at an absolute breaking point because yesterday, one of Olanulo's spies caught African Turkey helping Snow citizens flee the Empire. Fleeing or defecting was strictly against Aculon law. Olanulo's spy also saw African Turkey hanging out with not just Sidefall, but nearly all the major Plains leaders, which made Olanulo think, is African Turkey planning something? Is he secretly working with the allies? Is he about to orchestrate a full-scale revolution or an invasion of the Aculon Empire? These were all questions that Olanulo was wrestling with, and the more he thought about it, the more he convinced himself that African Turkey was probably committing some sort of treason and needed to be stopped. Yesterday, African Turkey had reached out to Olanulo for a meeting, and today, Olanulo accepted this request, but with a few conditions. 1, this meeting takes place at the Aculon Castle. 2, Turkey comes alone. And 3, the meeting takes place not today, but tomorrow, because Olanulo needed some extra time for his builders to finish a certain project located on the top of the Aculon Castle. Nobody knew why or what the strange-looking tower was, but Olanulo insisted it be completed by the time Turkey shows up.
Tomorrow is certainly going to be interesting, so make sure everyone's ready.
Lastly, later in the day, Olanulo...
Wait, is he gonna execute him? Is he gonna execute Turkey? Oh no. Oh no.
Sent diplomats to establish alliances with both the desert militias and with the sea people in the jungle. Olanulo appreciated the sea people's value of order, and he promised that he will help them stop the chaos in the jungle and help them catch their #1 most wanted criminal, Wazuk. The sea people accepted this alliance, but they ended up not needing Aculon's help because late into day 9, Wazuk decided to turn himself in.
Oh.
He's about to be executed.
He came back.
Guilty conscience, perhaps.
He came back. He turned himself in. Did this guy save the jungle nation, the jungle island, from a war? So based. What's up? Actual beast.
All right, Wazuk, I
Sigma
understand
Mil.
you have a prepared statement.
He slays,
you may now
man.
read your final words.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank
some
you.
hero, yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's your old friend Wazuk. In the beginning, I wanted to rule the world. But I've made some bad decisions. And now, it's my time to go.
You killed innocents. Stop making speak.
If there's one thing I've learned, is that time can never be your trusted friend.
Yeah.
It's so sad. Like people hate him because like he killed the people, but they don't know that he's trying to do that, so that a war doesn't break out and kill more people. It's like the same that you know that railroad that train question. Like if there are 2 rails with 10 people and there's 1 rail with like 1 people, which rail will you divert to? Right? Like which one will you queue? 10 people or 1 people? And he chose the 1 people one. Yeah, so
Long
Satch.
live the jungle.
and they don't even know. That's the thing. They don't know he's like the hero for the greater good.
deciding that being a criminal in hiding isn't how he wanted to live, Wazak instead chose to face
Even
his
if
inevitable
they
death
knew
on
it
his
wouldn't
own
help, as the
terms,
other tribes
and by
would be
doing
at each
so,
other's
he
throat.
gave
Yeah.
the jungle one last moment of unity.
Anyone else jumping?
The conflict between the two major jungle tribes was
Actually, I would say that it's better that they don't know, right? It's better that they don't know that he's doing it for them.
still
It is better.
unresolved, especially now that they were in opposing alliances, but for this brief moment, there was peace in the jungle. Well, that was fun. Everyone's coming down the tree now. Most nations around the world
Yeah, you're
took
right.
the end of day 9 to rest and reflect on how far they've come. For example, the jungle's Blue Cross tribe celebrated becoming international with at least
Wait, hold on a minute.
one charity location on each island. Meanwhile, in the desert, the two Sultanate militias held a funeral for the late Sultan, where they vowed to get revenge and chanted death to Theria, after which they proceeded to finish building the Sultan's holy city in his honor. Theria, on
that
the
looks
other hand,
sick.
expanded its reach into the arts
That
and
looks so
became the
sick.
first civilization to develop music.
Wait, what?
Oh. Lastly, on the Plains Island, businesses were booming and civilizations were
Of
thriving.
course, it's a reroll,
On
of
day 9,
course.
the Plains Island had finished the
Of freaking
construction
course.
of the ISH, the International State Highway, which made trade and transportation between the major Plains nations
You're the pun,
much
man, the
faster. Overall, the building and architecture and player creativity in Plains was simply
That's smart.
amazing, and it was all made possible by the political stability of the Plains Island. Many in the desert and jungle and snow looked at Plains as the shining beacon that they can aspire to be like one day.
Wait, what? What?
As the end of the day approached, Afreak and Turkey returned to the Plains Tavern after spending the day traveling around the world, visiting civilizations in the jungle, the deserts, and of course the Plains Island. During many of his visits, he was very surprised when he found out that most people from these foreign nations not only knew about him, but admired him. This was because rumor had spread about his disobedience to Alanyulo, and as a result, he had earned a worldwide reputation as the savior of refugees, the honorable rebel, the man who stood up to the emperor, and everywhere Afreak and Turkey went, he was welcomed with open arms. By
He's
the
like
way,
a
I think he would've been
celebrity.
perfect for that.
Yeah, I heard there was a comedy show here. You should have called me over.
When it came to the Akulon Empire, the truth was, Afreak and Turkey had no intention of causing any type of uprising or revolution.
Yeah.
In fact, he was strictly against the idea, knowing just how devastating a major war would be. But he did want
Exactly.
change in the Empire. During his prolonged stay in Plains, he had seen what freedom and democracy look like. He had come to regret his more tyrannical actions in the early days, and he now envisioned a reformed Akulon Empire. His new dream was to bring democracy to Snow,
Nah.
bring freedom to the people of the Akulon Empire, and make the Snow
It's never gonna happen, guys. No. It's never gonna happen. Nah. He will never agree. That would never happen. He's so dead. This guy's
refugees
dead.
feel safe to come back
He's dead meat.
home.
I might
They gotta
just
kill
be
him.
overly optimistic, but I think we can achieve world peace.
Okay.
Nah.
If Afreak in Turkey is able to convince
Bro, he's so
Alanyulo to
optimistic.
convert the empire from a tyrannical dictatorship into a free democracy, and then the Akulon Empire ends up joining the Allies, then world peace wouldn't just be a far-fetched idea for wishful thinkers. It would actually happen. With this massive goal in mind, Afreak in Turkey prepared for tomorrow for his big meeting with Alanyulo.
Nah. He's so dead. This guy's dead.
Just remember everything we talked about. We'll be watching.
Before A Freakin' Turkey took off for the Snow Island, he had met with the 4 major plains leaders one last time to tell them what he hopes to achieve in his upcoming talk with Alaniolo. The plains leaders were pessimistic. See, when they heard about Alaniolo's strict conditions for the meeting to take place, they suspected that this was going to be the meeting where Alaniolo removes Turkey from his second-in-command position, or worse, puts Turkey in Aculon's prison.
She's gonna die.
Whatever happens today, the Plains leaders promised Turkey that he has the full support of the allied nations. Even if they can't attend the meeting, they will be watching and will do whatever they can to help him.
Wait, so it's literally just 3v1 now, huh? It's just 3v1. It's like everyone against the Snow Island right now.
There we go. Turkey is now back on the Snow Island. I think he's going to the meeting right away.
Oh yeah, the militia, yeah, the Sultanate, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right.
This is weird.
I forgot about that.
Turkey's been at the castle for like a few minutes now, and Alaniolo's nowhere to be seen. Oh, he's right here. He's on his way.
Oh no. Oh no. This is bad. This is really bad. He's so dead. He's so dead, bro.
Here we go. Everyone's here now. I think everyone's here now. Knights come to the castle. Wow, I think these are all the high-ranking officials of Aculon. They're all here.
Hear ye, hear ye. All barons, Duke Turkey, and fellow knights have now come together to speak with Emperor Alaniolo. Alaniolo, would you please start the conversation?
Wait. Turkey, hold up. So before we begin, sorry to interrupt. I have a special thing I want to do real quick.
Wait.
Here.
Drew, not yet. I want to do something first. Turkey, can you sit on the throne for a second?
Oh no.
Why?
Just do it.
Okay. What are we doing?
What is happening?
Can I trust you, Turkey?
Oh shit.
Yeah?
You like this, right? Sitting on the throne?
Oh.
You put me on here. I don't know what you're talking about.
In front of all these people?
What are you getting on about?
I know that you've colluded with the Plains Alliance. And I know that you want to take over this nation. Take this throne for yourself.
Whoa. What?
There's nothing you can do at this point to convince me that you're not plotting a revolution against me. I caught you red-handed.
No! Alaniolo! Yes, I've talked with Plains. I've also talked with Desert and Jungle. I am a diplomat. And I'll tell you this, all those people that I talked with will become our allies the moment we turn this place into an actual democracy.
Why are you secretly leading people off my island?
Because they thought you were going to kill them. And to be honest, so did I. So that's the point of this meeting. You want to get rid of me? You know what? How about I just leave, and you won't have to deal with me again? I'm just gonna go, okay?
Yeah, and then you'll come back with an army.
No.
I'm sorry, Turkey.
No, Turkey. My boy Turkey. Bro. Yo, this guy is evil. Not Turkey.
Wow.
He saved people. He saved so many people from the Snow Island.
Oh.
And then now they're all dead.
Wait, they're killing Turkey's supporters. They're hunting down his supporters as well.
What the
This
fuck?
is crazy.
Wait, so they killed like
that,
everyone under
there
him.
was a purge on the Snow Island, and many of Turkey's supporters were killed. The few who were able to escape immediately swam to the other islands to tell everyone exactly what happened.
And all of the knights started executing Bernie, Ender, Turkey. They assassinated some of the most loved members of Akalon.
When Afreak in Turkey's death message appeared in chat, people around the world were outraged, and shortly after, the leaders of the Allied nations started activating their militaries, putting them on standby.
Turkey once visited Los Pollos Hermanos. I'm giving the army chicken for 50% off to make sure they're ready for battle.
Meanwhile,
50% off.
Oladielo got word that the Allies were preparing their armies, so he declared a full lockdown, reached out to his own allies, and called them to the Akulon Castle to be ready in case the Allies declare war. And sure enough, when the Plains leaders talked with Theria and Seth, the vote was unanimous. On day 10, the Alliance of Democratic Nations officially declared war on the Akulon Empire.
The UN versus the
I just
Snow
want to say I
Island.
wish you luck and great success. Hopefully we all see
Let's
some
go.
of you tomorrow to sign the constitution of the new Akulon Republic. The new Akulon
3v2.
Republic that we all dream about having. Thank you. Thank you all.
This isn't about us. This isn't about our lives. It's about getting justice for Turkey and ridding the world of tyranny.
All the Allied nations met up at the center island so they could attack the Snow Island together.
Today, we fight for revenge.
Wait, is that a Viking?
For freedom.
That's a Viking.
But little did the Allies know, Oladielo had set a trap. The Akulon builders had taken inspiration from history and created what they called the Iron Torch, the most advanced defensive tower in the world.
Yo,
complete with
that's sick.
dangerous height, sturdy walls, arrow
That's
slits,
sick.
and lava cover.
That's so fucking cool.
Crazy.
That's so fucking awesome. Bro. That's awesome. The iron torch. That's so beast.
Time can never be your trusted friend or your sworn ally. No, it's the harshest mistress of all.
Wow.
And life is just a chain of moments spent, 1,000 hellos and goodbyes. Maybe a love
What the
like
frick? That?
ours
What
can
the
leave
frick?
out
Yo, the
its
inside is so complex. Ooh, rip. Ow. Okay, that's smart. That's smart. Putting water down. That's smart.
Watch out, they're coming up.
No. No. Oh, that's so smart. Yo, that's so smart. That's big brain. Wait, did you guys see that? He was using the tree as a cover. That's so damn smart. Let's watch that again. Look at that. That's so smart. It's like a tree ladder. A tree tower. Hey, he's such a coward, right? Like that dude is such a coward. Like he's always hiding somewhere. Eleanor. He's always hiding. Like he's hiding in the bunker, and now he's hiding in this torch. In this building. In this bunker. He's always hiding in bunkers. Oh my god. Always hiding. Oh, they got in. GG. Ooh. He did, boys. He did. He so did. Nice. So nice.
What?
Yes, let's go. He did. Haven't you heard about Haru Aurara's passed away?
Died, the
Wait, what? What's that? Who is that? Is that like an idol? Like a VTuber or something? I don't know. Wait, what? The horse died? Wait. Oh, it's a horse. Oh.
Aquilan Empire officially
I see.
surrendered.
Wait, Aquilan's officials say they surrendered? Kill them.
But even though Aquilan surrendered, the allies didn't stop fighting. No mercy, no mercy. They're all saying no mercy.
No mercy.
Like that, there was a purge on the Snow Island. But this time, it was the supporters of Turkey doing the killing. This is just an absolute slaughter fest.
They're all dead. Look at that. All dead.
After a while, the Allies had completely taken over the Iron Torch, and all the Aquilan forces had either been killed or had fled the island and gone into hiding. And with that, the Alliance of Democratic Nations had
so the UN won
defeated the Aquilan Empire.
The United Nations won.
It was only when the war ended and the clouds parted that the Allies were finally able to reflect on what they had done. They had succeeded, but they had also shown no mercy. When their enemy surrendered, they continued to be ruthless and thirsty for blood. It was as if they had become their enemy. As the Allies each safely returned to their homes, now with a clear mind, many of them felt regret. Neither side was completely innocent, and the war was complicated. But at least it was over. And the Allies had won.
Days later. Ooh, like 200 people died in that fight.
Over the next few days, the people of Plains,
Damn.
Feria, Seth, and a few smaller nations created a world alliance with a massive parliament building on the center island where world leaders met to discuss the affairs of their nations and, most importantly, to keep the peace. And the first order of business was pardoning the few living players who fought for Aquilan so they didn't have to live in hiding. Meanwhile, the snow refugees were able to move back to the snow island and create the new Aculon Republic, putting democracy in snow. They also tore down the remains of the Iron Torch and put in its place
Democracy
a
W,
graveyard
guys.
honoring all who died in the Battle of Aculon. And overlooking the graveyard was the man, or turkey, who inspired them all.
Yo, that's sick. The statue is so sick. Oh my god. That's so awesome. Damn, look at the statue.
And so, the jungle went back to hosting comedy shows, the desert went back to pursuing the arts, and Drift Chicken went back to running Los Pollos Hermanos.
Aww.
After
He came
all
back
that
finally.
happened throughout the days, things were finally settling down.
Good ending, good ending.
For many players, the
Wait, is that
newfound
weed? Hold on.
peace allowed
Hold
for
on a minute,
new
is that weed?
stories to begin.
It's
But
a weed
for
farm.
us, it's a good place to end.
Good video, good video. What a good video. No, I would say that the one we watched last time is still better, I think. Like in terms of like quality and production value.